Hello and welcome to week 12 here in the Psychology of Adulthood. And we are in chapter 12 and chapter 13. We're going to be doing both of those this week. Now, the schedule of events for the rest of the class, as far as I can tell, I think we have this week we're going to be covering 2 chapters. Next week is Thanksgiving week, and there's nothing due next week. And then we have 1 more week, maybe 2 more weeks after that. So we're getting very close to the end of the class. So here we are, chapter 12, late adulthood, a discussion oriented around that. Chapter 13, that is changing roles, and a discussion about that. So just 2 discussions due this week. The first discussion actually looks at research associated with aging well. Now, what aging well research has told us is that particular lifestyle choices that we make early in life and throughout life lead to a high probability of happiness and contentment and aging well later on. Time is going to click. We are all going to be there eventually. What decisions are we making? What lifestyle are we engaging in right now that will likely bring that sense of satisfaction and happiness in late life? I filled this chapter with all kinds of stuff. So let's take a look at the chapter to see these content areas that I've included as things to consider in your own plans to ensure that you have a happy aging. So it starts off here in the chapter with aging well, and it talks about the Valence study, the Harvard study on aging, the longest running longitudinal study in history. And it goes through these things that they've found out. People who are aging well, it's not the bad things that happen to us, it's the good people that happen to us. Finding good people in our lives, that healthy relationships, a good marriage, avoiding alcohol abuse, learning to play and create after retirement. Objective physical health is less important than subjective health. How I feel about myself is more important even than the reality. Then we go into individuals, there's a contrast between happy well and the sad sick person. And the sad sick person, the psychosocial sick, this is a psychosocial sickness that affects attitudes, depression, motivation, emotions, friends. Then it goes into 6 dimensions that use to differentiate between the happy well and the sad sick. The absence of objective physical disability, obviously, subjective physical health, length of non-disabled life, objective mental health, objective social supports, and subjective life satisfaction. Then we look into coping mechanisms. We look at dysfunctional coping mechanisms that lead to sick, sad, and then we look at more functional tools. We have projection, passive aggression, dissociation, acting out in fantasy. These are areas that are not healthy for us. Then we look at sublimation, humor, altruism, suppression in terms of memories and what. And then in summary here, we have these watchwords here, sort of mantras. Maybe these are bumper stickers. Let go and let God. First things first. Keep it simple. Carpe diem, seize the day, use the telephone, communicate with people. All coming from this Valence study. So what's the point? You look at all of these things, and to what degree are you living those things out today? To what degree are you planning to do those? Are you surrounding yourself with good people? Are you communicating? Are you creative? Are you focusing on subjective health as well as objective health? All of these, are you being altruistic? Are you giving? Do you have a developed sense of humor? And all of these things. These are practices that not only associated that the only goal isn't aging well. The This is deeply embedded in the world of positive psychology. Well, these are attitudes, behaviors, and habits that lead to long-lasting, deep contentment and happiness, even in the face of adversity. Things will happen, crap happens, all of that. You know that bumper sticker too. But an individual who uses these things as guidelines tends to have more resilience, tend to be able to get through those things, and certainly because we're reaching out to other people and networking with others and whatnot, they get that support, surrounding themselves with positive people instead of people that bring them down or lead them down the wrong road. These kinds of things, vitally important today, and for the context of this class, we see them as being indicators of aging well. That's chapter 12, having a discussion with each other. This has been a very open class, very impressed with that, very happy with that. Talking about how are these things going with you? What choices are you making? What examples? You don't have to go through all of these, but give examples of maybe it's something you're struggling with, or maybe something you're really good at, something that you really dedicated your life to in terms of living well and aging well. Then we switch gears a little bit and we look at the changing role that happens, and many of you not there, not close. When those roles change, you retire and you enter into old age. And what's fundamental to that is the social role change that happens in terms of the individuals, the part they play in society. To explore this, what I did and what I've done for part of my regular developmental psych class is I have a story that was written by a friend of mine who's now passed away, Dr. Robert Vian. He was a colleague of mine at KVCC, and he is a philosopher, he was a minister, he was a psychologist, he had degrees upon degrees upon degrees. And at the end of his life, he was very introspective about aging and wrote lots of things about aging. And he shared with me this story, this wagon wheel story, about the changing role of elderly people and the importance of elderly people and their role that they have in society. So you're going to base the reflection upon that. This chapter 13 discussion is to discuss that essay. Talk about what Dr. Vian talked about. I continue to include this in my class because I think it's a powerful statement. It's an honor to this very intelligent, inspiring individual that I knew several years ago. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope it is as meaningful for you as it was and continues to be for me. So the two discussions this week. The first one, looking at what practices you're engaging in right now that relate to living well now and aging well later. And then chapter 13, reflecting on Dr. Vian's essay, The Wagon Wheel. So, with that said, this is what's due this week. Next week we have off, and then there's a different schedule at KV, so I'm a little confused. I think there's 1 week left after that where the final assignment is due, but there'll be a video for that. Maybe 2 weeks. And it's a little off from the KVCC schedule, so forgive my confusion. So enjoy this week, and I will see you next time.